All right. Good evening, everybody, and most welcome to tonight's meeting. Well, on those that are joining us on Facebook Live, we're just about to start. It's unfortunate I don't play music for, just like other live Facebook Live productions, because this is a class, this is a training. Good to see all of you. Good to see Moses Rono, Bernard, Hiram, Alfred, Laureen, all those that are joining on, on Zoom. Geoffrey, CLA, I can see you. I just want to acknowledge just a few before I start, and then we'll be getting started. So tonight I'm talking about, techniques of developing a competitive product, and these are it's going to be a very interesting class because I know this is something that many people will be interested to, to learn. And so let me just share my screen. As I share my screen, that means I'll be starting now, anytime right now, without waiting for many people to come. They will join us as we continue. All right. So I will encourage you tonight to have a pen, have a book where you can write notes, because I'm going to train. I'm going to take you through a very important training. Many people, have been trying to come up with products, especially right now during COVID-19. People have been trying to, develop products. What we are calling pivoting. You're trying to see which other direction can your business take. And so this is why I came up with this idea, of giving you techniques of developing a competitive product, so that again, we are not just doing what everybody else is doing. You see, when you develop a product just because you're excited, it may not give you the benefits that you want. It may not give you the benefits that you want. And so that's why, for me, the techniques are really important when you are joining, or when you are developing a competitive product. So take notes, get ready to learn, get started on what you need to know. So right away, we go straight to tonight's topic, and I'll take a maximum of 35 minutes to take you through this. So now, when we talk about the business straight talk, first of all, let me just explain what it is and why I came up with a business straight talk. I came up with a business straight talk because there are people who are in business. For me, I'm very interested in inspiring kingdom entrepreneurs, people that are developing products to benefit the kingdom, kingdom of God. I'm very interested in that because that is what we need to understand. So when you're developing a product that will benefit the kingdom of God, you are my friend. Number two, right now, people need empowerment. And that is why I came up with the business straight talk. And not only business straight talk, I also came up with the idea of training entrepreneurs. And that is my pleasure. That is my interest. I want to empower believers. I want to empower you in, whatever you are, joining us from Nigeria, joining us from the US. I've gotten text messages from Nigeria, from the US, people that are following these talks. And so it is not just something that I'm doing because other people are doing it. I'm doing this because I know a believer somewhere will be empowered, and you'll start a business that will stand, that will thrive. And at the end of the day, we will all be building the kingdom of God. And so this business straight talk is absolutely free. It's absolutely free. I research, I study, I prepare to just come and empower a believer. And I'm doing this not only now, I'll continue doing this every Thursday. We meet here at 9:30 for a discussion, a talk show. Next week, I'm hosting Mr. George Washuri, like I said, on Thursday to discuss about the nightmares of a startup, the nightmares of a founder.
the resilience, the integrity in business. So join us on Thursday and you'll be able to learn. So all of you that are joining us, thank you. Most welcome. I've seen quite a number of people coming through. So tonight, like I said, I'm just going to give a talk on developing competitive products. I may not be too, new in terms of things that you have not heard, but even that which you have been hearing, I would want to bring it out very clearly. So, karibuni sana. I've seen quite a good number of people. I've seen my friend who was my former boss, and good to see you. So let's start by introducing this topic. Let me start by introducing this topic: the product development.
Product development
is creation of new products. It's either creation of new products or existing product. When you are talking about product development, it may mean creation of new product or existing product. It may also mean innovation of a new product or innovation of an existing product, what we call improvement. The next thing actually is you can define product development as a continuous improvement of a new product or existing product. You may develop a product by looking at what you have and improving on it. When you look at what you have and you improve on it, that is product development. And the last one is enhancing utility of the new product or existing product. So the four helps us to define product development. Whatever it is, whether it's a new idea that you have, or it's an existing idea or an existing product or existing business, whatever you are doing right now, you can improve on it. And that one, we will call it product development. Or you may come up with a purely new product, which is not in your portfolio, and we'll still call it a product development process. And that's important for you to note. So we talk about product development, but we're also talking about making it competitive. So the four will help you to know what are you going to do. After this discussion, are you going to create a new product completely? Or are you going to innovate on a new product or existing product? Or are you going to continually improve what the Toyota people call Kaizen? Are you going to improve on what you have? When the Toyota company comes up with a new Harrier or a new Lexus, which is a modification of what was in existence, they call that product development. So product development may not necessarily mean purely coming up with the new thing that was not in existence. It could be something that was in existence, but then you're building up on it. That is product development. If you are going into business, you are leaving employment or you're in employment and you want to come up with a new idea, which you want to do as a side job, when you develop that idea, that is product development. Idea development is also product development. So these are the four ways we can define product development, all right? Then a good product helps you to, number one, create a new business opportunity and bring growth. As an entrepreneur, when you develop a new product, then you're creating new business opportunities and bringing growth. Number two, as an entrepreneur, you need to develop new products to boost productivity and profitability of the entrepreneur. So when you're developing a new product, you're boosting productivity and profitability of your entrepreneurship or your enterprise. And that is important. You cannot stick to one product, or you cannot stick to one old idea or one old way of doing things. You may want to improve on it to boost your productivity and profitability. Then number three, you need a good product or product development to enhance the satisfaction levels of your consumers. If you have an existing client base, if you have an existing customer base, you may want to develop your products to meet their needs and satisfy their needs. That way, you're going to be innovative. People who offer the same product, the same idea, year in, year out,
will not be able to satisfy their customers. Remember, I'm talking about produce or developing products
that are competitive. So these are the three key reasons that you need to develop new ideas. Number one, creating new business opportunities to bring growth to yourself and to your business. And number two, to boost productivity and your profitability. And number three, to enhance the satisfaction levels of your consumers. All right, that's very interesting. The other thing we need to understand is what makes a great product. What makes a great product or a great business idea? Any great product or any great business idea needs to meet this, to answer these questions. Number one, which need are you seeking to solve? Which need are you seeking to solve? If you're going into business or you're already in business, but you want to develop a new product, especially post-COVID-19, you may want to answer this question. Which need are you planning to solve? Number two is what product will solve that need. You don't just jump into the market and and come up with something without thinking of, is there a need in the market in the first place? So before developing a product, you may need to ask yourself, is there a need for that product? Then once you identify a need, because you may either start with the need or the product, but the best way to approach a need market or a market is to identify a need and then think about the product that can solve that need. And we are entrepreneurs. The best way to define an entrepreneur is a solution provider. You are not just a businessman, because a businessman can do anything to make money. But an entrepreneur is in the business of finding needs and providing solutions. So once you identify a need in the market, then the next thing is to look for a product that can solve that need. Then after that, you need to ask yourself, then who do you sell to? Because this is a need and you have a product, but who will buy the product? Sometimes you may have customers who are not consumers, or have consumers who are not your customers. For instance, if I am going to the market to buy a toy, that toy, I am a customer to the toy shop, but I am not a consumer of the toy. My kid, my baby is the consumer of the toy. So you need to ask yourself, who is going to buy? Are you selling to a customer or are you selling to the consumer? If you're selling to the customer and not the consumer, you may also need to understand the language that consumers understand and the language that customers understand. You need to grow in that direction. So that's very important. All right. Then once you have answered the question of who you are selling to, then the other question is, how do I sell? How do I sell? This is still within the discussion of developing a product that is competitive. So number one, your product must answer the question of which need it is solving. Number two, your product must answer the question of what product it is. Then who are you selling the product to? And finally, how are you selling that product? The how you're selling the product is the medium. It is the medium that you're using to sell the product. Are you going to sell the product online? Are you going to sell the product to a wholesaler who you sell to a retailer and the retailer sell to the consumer? What is the chain of your selling, or what is the selling chain? From where you are you a retailer? Are you a wholesaler? Are you the producer or the manufacturer? So this is critical for anybody who is thinking of going to a business or is in business and is in the in the process of developing an idea that will solve the market need. Now, after you have answered this question, now you need to think about something called the model versus reality product. The model versus reality product. When I was looking at the gospel, because one of the products that I've
in this life we live is a product called the gospel.
And I was meditating a few hours ago on how we have the Old Testament and the New Testament. A majority of you, I know you are in churches. When you look at the Old Testament, there's a place in Colossians where it says the Old Testament was a shadow of the New Testament. Now, every product development should follow the procedure or the process of the shadow and the reality. If you want to develop a successful product, you need to have a model and then reality. And this is where I'm coming to advise you on how to develop a competitive product. The point is how. I know you may have an idea, and that idea is very good, but how do you develop it? How do you make it a competitive product? Number one, you must have the shadow. You must have the model. There is something called the power of imagination. Every good entrepreneur must be able to imagine and develop things or develop ideas even before they become reality. And that power of imagination is what makes your product move from the model to reality. You need to have that process. Now, let's go into the gist of it. There are 8 processes of developing a good product or a competitive product. Take note of this, please. This is very important. Number 1 step of developing a competitive product is idea generation. Idea generation. The second one is idea screening. I'm going to explain in a few. Idea generation is number 1. Number 2 is idea screening. Number 3 is concept testing. Number 4 is business analysis. Number 5 is the production stage. Number 6 is the market testing, and then commercialization and product performance review. These are 8 tested steps of developing a competitive product. And this is very critical for you tonight. Very critical for you tonight. So if we can scan through this, I'm sure it's going to help you when you're coming up with a product. All right. So let's look at each one of them. And this is what I would just share tonight, and we can call it a day. Idea generation. Idea generation. What is idea generation? All right. The first step in the product development is the idea generation. New ideas can be generated by, number 1, conducting market research to find out the consumer's needs and wants. A wise entrepreneur does not just jump into a product. You first of all conduct a market research. I was training a class a few weeks ago, and someone asked, do market research really inform you about the market in reality? And I will answer today and say yes. If you conduct a good market research, you are going to understand how the market is going to behave if you launch your product. Then after you do a market research, you can invite suggestions from consumers, because we have said you need to identify the need in the market. If you have identified a need in the market for a product, for instance, you can easily go to a few customers or consumers of that product and ask them for suggestions. What do you think? I'm about to come up with this product. I'm about to come up with this idea. Do you think it's a good idea? And people who ask those questions, have themselves to thank, because when you get the feedback from customers, it's almost a reality that customers will either buy or not buy. So you already have a consumer in mind. You need to ask them for suggestions. Then if you have employees, if you are running a company which is established, you may also want to get suggestions from your employees. I'm thinking of coming up with this product. What do you think? Is it going to pick? Is it going to be a good product? And from that point, then you can get feedback from employees. Do not ignore feedback from even a cleaner, because those people may actually be your consumers tomorrow. Besides them being employees, they can be the consumers of your product, and that's critical. Then brainstorming is also another way of idea generation. When you are doing brainstorming, you can do brainstorming as an individual, or you can do brainstorming as a group. All right, doing brainstorming as a group means you call your friends, you're having coffee, or you are having fellowship somewhere, and then you drop the idea before them, and you tell them, I'm thinking of starting a procurement, a software development company, and I have this software in mind. I want to develop software for for engineers. I want to develop a software for bankers. When you drop that idea before them, what will happen is they are going to react to the idea. Don't just come up with ideas without placing them for brainstorming. And that is very critical. On Thursday, we were discussing about manufacturing. And sometimes you may want to manufacture a product. Before you go into it, think about placing it before a discussion, even with your friends. And from that point, friends can give you feedback that will help you so much in terms of, idea generation. Then the other thing you may want to do is searching in different markets, whether it's national, international markets for new product ideas. You may want to go to Google and ask Mr. Google, how is this product? All right. And he will answer you. This product is running in Tanzania. This product is running in Namibia. This product is working in South Africa. Then you can actually search further and ask yourself, how is it working in those places? That way, you are going to have a very clean idea generation. Then getting feedback from agents or dealers about services offered by competitors. You may want to go further and want to know, are there competitors who are doing the same product, who are selling the same product? For example, people jumped into production of hand wash soaps and the detergents and also sanitizers and all these. So the question you may want to ask yourself is, before I come to this point of introducing my company to do this, are there other people who are doing the same? And that will help you so much. So that is the first step of idea generation. The first idea generation. The second step, like I've said, is idea screening. Idea screening. We are talking about developing products that will be competitive in the market. Screening means you may have many ideas in your mind, but you want to choose the most appropriate. Sometimes when people are under pressure, they have so many ideas running in their minds. And sometimes you may want to settle to one particular idea that is going to give you what you're looking for. And so the advice is, once you have the idea generated, then you may want to do a screening of the idea. Selecting the good ideas and rejecting the bad ideas is important. Not every idea is going to work for you. Not every product is going to give you money. Not every product is good for this season. Not every product is going to be received well by your consumers and customers. So you may want to settle down on a particular idea that you want to develop and perfect at this time. So before selecting or rejecting an idea, the following questions are important to consider. Number one, is it necessary to introduce a new product now? Is it necessary for you to start a new business? Is it necessary for you to go into that line of business? Is it necessary? You need to answer that. And that's an introspection. Introspect, look deep into yourself and ask yourself, am I ready? Is it time? Is it necessary? Then do you have the capacity, for the new product? Do you have the capacity for the new product? Some of us have very crazy ideas, which is very important. We have very good ideas of businesses we want to start. But the question is, do we have the capacity to launch the idea? If the idea is too big for us, we may want to scale down and think of, where do I start from here? You may not want to start from a very big step or that you cannot afford. Scaling down is important. If you have the muscle, then it's okay. You can do it big, but it's good to ask yourself about the capacity. Capacity here, you can talk about financial capacity, you can talk about skills capacity, you can talk about the networks capacity, you can talk about the staff capacity. Do you have the right people? Do you have enough capital? Do you have the networks? Do you have the location? So capacity is important for you to understand whether you have. Then when can the product break even? And this is a question of profitability. Before you go into any business, ask yourself about profitability. How long will you take, nurturing the idea before it begins to give you profits? Some of the ideas are good, but they may take a whole year before they give you profits. Do you have the ability to wait for 1 year without making profits? Are you going to be funding the product? So this is important for you to answer as you do idea generation, idea screening. The answers to these questions, of course, will lead to either acceptance of the idea or rejection of the idea. So put your idea through this, put your business idea, put your product through this process. And once you've done screening, the third step is concept testing. Concept testing. Please understand there's a difference between concept testing and market testing. Concept testing is done after idea screening, which of course is different from market testing, like I've said. The importance of this stage is to find out, number one, whether the consumers understand the product idea or not. You have developed a good idea, you have a good business idea, and I know right now everybody's thinking, how can I start a new business, or how can I improve my ideas, my products? But the question is, will the consumers understand your idea? Will they understand your product? So number two is whether the consumers need the new product. You may have an idea, but it may not be needed right now. It may be an idea after COVID-19. It may be an idea that was important or that would have been viable before COVID-19. So don't just jump into an idea because you think it's a good idea. You may need to ask yourself, will the consumers need this product now? Then whether the consumers will accept the product or not. Because there's one thing about them needing the product and then accepting the product. Acceptance may come with quality. Acceptance may have to do a lot with, pricing. Is it affordable? Right now, the consumer behaviors have changed. Is it a secondary need or a primary need for consumers right now? So don't just think about an idea. Don't just think about a business product. Think about acceptability. Think about the need in the market. How then do you conduct a market testing? Number one, you can select a small group of consumers. Once you have developed a model, like I said, a model is a shadow of what you want to release. So now here you have a shadow of what you want to release, or what you want to launch, or what you want to do. It's a shadow of a business idea. Select a small group. It can even be your friends. It could be, church fraternity. It could be your chama members. Select a small group. Then give them full information about the new product. Explain to them what you want to do. Tell them the idea you have in mind, and then ask them what they feel about the new product and whether they like it. That is the simplest way of doing a concept testing, because sometimes people get so excited that they forget to do market testing. And that market testing is critical. Concept testing is critical because it will tell you whether you can move on or not move on. That's important. All right. The step number 4 into product development is the business analysis. I hope you're taking notes because this is really critical for anyone. Don't just jump into things. This is the best way you can go into it. When you're doing business analysis, of course, you have done concept testing. You have seen that it is acceptable. The second thing that you need to do now is move it from concept testing into now analyzing it as a business idea. Whether it's a product or it's a business that you want to start, you put it through this scrutiny. Number one, you analyze product profitability. All right, analyze the product's profitability. Number 2, the cost of production. Some ideas may be so good, but if the cost of production is too high, you may not want to go into it. Because when the production cost is too high, the profit margins will be too low. That's important for you to note. So don't just go into it, analyze the cost of producing it. If you're buying something and you're buying and selling, ask yourself, from where I'm buying to where I'll be selling it, how much will it cost me to deliver it to the consumer? If the cost is too high, you may want to rethink about the product. Then product demand, is it regular or seasonal? Some products have regular demand, others have seasonal demand. Regular demand means it will be on demand or in demand all through. Seasonal means maybe this is an idea or product that will just be required or necessary during COVID-19, for example. But after COVID-19, people will not be buying this product. So once you know it's a seasonal demand, then you may want to think, how then can I create this product to work only for the season? Or for instance, we are now in a cold season, and during cold season, people tend to buy cold weather clothes and sell. That's a seasonal demand product. When you're dealing with a seasonal demand product, you may want to have it locked within the season. Don't lie to yourself that you'll be selling sweaters after the cold season. So be sure whether it's a regular demand or a seasonal demand. Then after that, identify competitors or substitutes in the substitute products in the market. Are you aware of the competing products in the market? Are you aware whether there's a substitute product that is similar to what you're going to do? Because sometimes you may jump into a business or an idea, you may jump into a product, but then you realize that there are so many other substitute products that are competing and you never break even. That's very critical for you to understand. Then after that, project the sales or do the sales projection. How many units can you sell within a period of time? How many units are you able to sell within a period of season, within the season? How many units are you able to sell in the next 1 year? Then marketing cost. How much will it cost me to get the product to the market? Do I need to shout too much? Do I need to spend a lot of money marketing? Do I need to scream a lot? Or is there a product that can sell itself? That's very important. Then cash flow projection. How much money am I expecting to receive or to get from this product? That is very important, a very important process for you to look into. All right. So this is called the business analysis. Please do a business analysis, because each step of idea production, you may actually drop an idea after analyzing it. You can drop an idea from the concept testing. You can also drop it at the business analysis step. Then the next step is production. When we talk about the production now, you need to align your business units. You may have a good business idea, you may have a good product, but then your units are not aligned. Which units are important? Number one, production. We may be talking about production department or projects department, or if you're alone, you're a single entrepreneur, your ability to produce. If you want to go into textile industry, what do you need for textile production? You need sewing machines. Do you have them? That is a production bit of it. Then the sales and marketing bit of it is important. How are you going to sell? Do you need people to sell? Do you need, are you able to sell alone? Or how are you going to approach the selling and marketing? Then finance. How do you align? The three are the key units of any product development. If they are aligned, then you win. If they are disconnected, then you can't win in a product development process. That's very critical. Then the sixth step is now test marketing. Test marketing, remember I talked about concept testing, but this is now test marketing. After you've done all this, you have the products with you now, you have aligned the company, you have aligned the production units. Now you need to do the test marketing. This means introducing the new product on a small scale in a small market. I don't know how different products or different companies, different services have different markets and have different ways they can approach the test marketing. But this is important. If the new product that you have developed is successful in this market, in this small market that you have introduced, then introduce the same product into a large market. Why? Because the smaller market, for instance, when I started training, I only did training with, I think, a maximum of 10. We started 3 of us, 5 of us, 7 of us, 10 of us. That step was very important because it told me the mistakes that I'm making, because a smaller market would be forgiving than a bigger market. When you launch to a bigger market, there's feedback you could have gotten from a smaller market that a big market will not be able to forgive you for. Before you launch your product into a big market, try it with a smaller market and get the feedback. Now, when you launch it into a smaller market, and the product fails at that point, then find out why. Because it doesn't mean after launching the product, it will automatically sell. You may launch the product and then it fails, or it has a false start. If it has a false start, then what you need to do is ask yourself why, then make the necessary changes before introducing it to the market again, and then again reintroduce it to the smaller market. If you introduce it to a smaller market and it succeeds, then what you need to do is go ahead and launch it big. But if it fails the second time, you may need to kill that product, or you may need to stop that idea, because it means it has failed the first time, it has failed the second time, it may not take off again. So that is very important, because it will save you from wasting a lot of time, it will save you from wasting a lot of resources, and it will save you from doing so many mistakes that may not be forgivable in the future. That is step number 6. Then step number 7, the second last step, and I'm almost done. If the test marketing is successful, then introduce the new product on a large scale. This step, we call it commercialization. Remember, all these were processes of developing a product. Now, at this point, you have tested the market, you have done concept testing, you have done the business analysis, everything is set, you're good to go. Then commercialize. Commercialize is important. You can invest in the product, you can take a loan to grow it, you have confidence now that even if I took a loan of $1 million or $500,000 or 50,000, depending on the size of your idea or the size of your business, then I will not regret not being able to pay back that loan. That's a very important point. So when you're commercializing now, you can go big, go full throttle in marketing the product. And then finally, it is step number 8. After you've done all that, do what is called product performance review. Product performance review is you're in the market already. You're already selling your products in the market. You need to have sequential or constant review of your product in the market. And when you do, you need to review the product performance of the new product, asking the following questions. Number 1, is the new product fully accepted by the consumers? Because you may realize after 6 months in the business, or after 6 months with the product, you put it through what we call the Boston Consulting Group matrix. It becomes either a star or a dog or a problem child, or then that is a matrix we train in the tools of strategy. When you put it through that, the BCG matrix, does it fall into a star? Is it a cash cow? Is it giving you money? Is it a star that is consuming so much, although it has a promising future? Is it a dog that is just lying there, eating your money and not giving you profits? Then once you analyze it, you may want to know, can I scale it up? Do I need to put more money into my product? Or do I need to kill it completely? Or do I need to watch it for a month or 2? And then that will be very important. You may also need to ask yourself, are the demand, sales, and profits high? When you're analyzing a product or reviewing a product, you want to check on the profits, you want to check on the sales, you want to check on the demand. That is important, because the demand may fall based on different external forces. And the external forces that we talk about here, PESTEL is an important analysis tool. You may look at your product within the political season. If we have gone into electioneering here, you may want to ask yourself whether your product is viable during an electioneering year. If it's not viable during that season of election, do you pause, do you go low on it, and then pick it back after elections? You may want to look at economical times, social impact, or technological changes, or environmental changes, all those, or even legal changes. If there are changes that are affecting your product development or product growth, then you need to make decisions based on that. That is a very critical stage for you. Then what is the level of customer satisfaction? Some ideas may be very good. Some products may be very good. Some business ideas may be doing very well. But when it comes to customer satisfaction, you are than good feedback. At this stage, you may want to ask, do I want to continue with a product which is good, but then there are so many complaints? or do I need to improve on it? Because at this point, this is where you do an improvement of an idea. Then is your team happy with the product? You may have a product which is good, fantastic in the outlook, but within your organization, within your team, their feeling is it's not good, it's not working well, it may be affecting other products negatively, and that's quite important for you. Then are the competitors introducing a similar new product or substitutes in the market? Once you launch a product, when you want to launch an idea, you need to keep track on competition, because Africans are duplicators. We know that. And within 1 or 2, 3, 4 months, someone else will be doing what you're doing. A friend will take up your idea and duplicate it. You may want to keep track on competitors and substitute products. Are they coming up with the new product? Are they improving on my product? What are they doing better than me? And then that will help you to understand how to respond to competition. All right. Then be ready to make necessary changes depending on the feedback you get during product performance review. Those are the necessary steps that you need to take when you are developing a new product. Some of us I know want to go into new business. You are already in business, you want to develop a new product. I've given you tips on how you can make or develop a competitive product.